from a Houston area Boys and Girls Club on a shopping spree. He gave them each a $200 gift card. Here's Hopkins talking about the experience.
Man, this is awesome. You know, get a little downtime. I prefer to, you know, be out here giving back. You know, expressing, you know, my interest for these kids, man, is something that, you know, I don't ever feel like I can get tired of doing.
So this continues a really cool tradition of star receivers in Houston. Andre Johnson, the best receiver in Texans history, every year around Christmas would take kids from foster homes to a Toys R Us and give them 80 seconds, because he was number 80, to take whatever they wanted off the shelves, fill up their cart, you know, the shopping carts, and ended up buying it. DeAndre's now trying to continue that. It's really, really cool.
Yeah, Tuesday is Community Day all around the National Football League. Most people know it as your day off, but that's the day that all guys in the league get out in the various communities where they're playing football and do something. But great, we need to have more cameras at events like that compared to vice versa.
Good stuff. All right, moving on. Time for some stories to start your morning. Doug Peterson says Carson Wentz is fine, but the Eagles are so riddled with injuries. Peterson canceled padded practice yesterday, opting instead for a walkthrough. See, is this a red flag for Philly?
Well, it's something that's not customary in the league that you have that many injuries. You know that we have the 53-man roster. Then you also have 11 people on the practice squad. So obviously, he made the right decision. As a coach that does have some experience, when you get those types of injuries, are you better off just getting the mental reps, giving the guys an extra day for their bodies to repair? Now, yes, it's something to watch, all right? They got the deepest roster in the league, but no roster can sustain a whole bunch of injuries.
Well, you can be the deepest roster in the league, but not wanting to have to go this far to your depth at week 3 of the season. Last year, they actually did this twice due to a spate of injuries, but it was weeks 15 and 16 at the tail end of the season, having to do this so early. And I mean, we talked about, hey, they've got a bunch of quality starting receivers. Well, not when 2 of them were on the shelf. They've got a bunch of quality starting offensive linemen. Well, you got questions there, and Wentz keeps getting lit up in those highlights. All
right, let's stay in the NFC East. The Cowboys released former first-round defensive end Taco Charlton yesterday. See, were you surprised by the move?
No, he really hadn't showed well. I mean, I'm surprised that he didn't get traded for at least a 5th rounder or something. You would think that someone would just throw in something to be able to get the type of prospect. When he came out of the University of Michigan, he should have been drafted. But we don't know when the... Hey, how many stories in this building? Is the elevator at the 3rd story and that's it? Or is it going to be a skyscraper? Like, we don't know that. That's why the draft is so difficult. I hope that he finds some place where he can get comfortable and develop his overall ability. But thus far, if we're being truthful, he's been a huge disappointment.
And listen, the Cowboys in 2012 traded up to get Mo Claiborne at the corner out of LSU. That pick didn't work out. And then 13, 14, 15, 16, they hit on their first-round picks every single year. This is the first miss they've had since 2012. I mean, there's no other way to put it. When you don't even make it to the end of year 3 and you're a first-round pick, to miss by them, I imagine he'll be claimed on waivers by some team this week and get a chance at a second bite at the apple for his career. Disappointing for him and disappointing for Dallas, as this is how they freed up roster space for Robert Quinn coming off the exempt list.
All right, big Sunday night matchup with the Rams traveling to Cleveland to take on the Browns. Odell Beckham said Aaron Donald is probably the best player in the league. See, you agree with OBJ?
Well, non-quarterback. He's definitely in the conversation, but there's no player in the league that compares to any quarterback as far as need, value to the team. Aaron Donald's a phenomenal player. We'll have to see. He's missed some practice time after missing some game time in Sunday's game, having a problem with his back. But he's explosive. You must double-team him every play, causes havoc, and going against that Cleveland offensive line that has not looked good. I'm sure Aaron's going to try to get healthy and get some snaps and get a try at that offensive line.
Yeah, they've got no way to block him, and unless he is limited or unless they double team him, which they will every play, even then that might not work. Should be noted, though, Aaron Donald, 20 sacks last season. The last time he had a sack was week 17 of last season. The entire playoff run in the first 2 games of this year, his quarterback hits are down 80% and his sacks are at 0. So he's on a bit of a cold streak. The Browns' offensive line might be what gets him right, though, if he's healthy on Sunday evening.
All right, moving on to Jalen Ramsey. He wants out of Jacksonville. Unfortunately for him, he will be playing against the Titans tonight for Jacksonville, in Jacksonville. The Jags All-Pro cornerback has requested a trade, but will be active again, with the trade seemingly coming sometime after the game. So, CC, which contender should try to acquire Jalen Ramsey?
Well, I don't mean, it doesn't have to be a contender for me. Right now, we only played 2 games. Everyone's a contender. The Giants, they think we make a quarterback switch. We right back into this. But I think there are certain places that would be better for them. I think the Raiders, John Gruden, they got the cap space. They got a really young team. They could use a corner play. They could also use a star going to Las Vegas. The Tennessee Titans, I do believe Coach Coombs, he was a legendary high school coach, coached at Ohio State. He only coached in Ohio until last year where he took the job in Tennessee. Vrabel, who has experience at Ohio State, went there and got him. He is a great defensive back coach in his hometown there with the Titans. So the Raiders or the Titans, I feel, are the smoothest transitions for him, for a guy that has that type of skill set. Big corner, wants to play a lot of man-to-man, and as we said before, he's from Tennessee and wants to go back there. And anytime, if you can get a big-time star like that in a smaller market like Tennessee, I think that they should look into that.
Particularly when he's listed the Titans previously before the season as a place he'd like to play. Sometimes you worry a big-time star, would he be happy going to a small market? The size of the market in Jacksonville is not why he's unhappy, and because of his roots in Tennessee, he has already said Nashville would be a place he wants to go.
And he's already proven that he can get national attention no matter
what. I mean, he's one of the star players in the league and one of the faces of the league that we have on the defensive side of the ball. One team you mentioned yesterday, before I give a couple others, that I thought really interesting was Philly. Philly obviously is a contender. Philly, that is the place where they need, I would argue, help the most is on the back end of their defense, particularly the corners, because I like Malcolm Jenkins. I understand we're talking about Philly's injuries. They didn't deal with the spate of season-ending injuries. For Philadelphia, with how active Howie Roseman has been, how great he's been at almost manipulating the cap to free up space when they need it. You had mentioned Philly yesterday. That, to me, is a really interesting fit and would be something that, if you're the Dallas Cowboys and you see, wait, the Eagles got who? The Eagles got Jalen Ramsey at the or not even at the deadline, a month into the season. That could be a game changer. I'm going to mention a team no one's attaching them to, but I think they have the space, they have the picks, they have the need. What about the Los Angeles Chargers? Now, maybe they don't want to pay Jalen Ramsey. They're going to have to pay Joey Bosa, 2 guys, but they have the cap space to do it. They are, right now, they know that last year they were this close to being the #1 seed in the AFC. Derwin James is going to come back at some point at the end of the season. They already have an extraordinary corner in Casey Hayward, but they're starting a guy who was an undrafted free agent a couple of years ago at their other corner spot. If you had Casey Hayward, Jalen Ramsey, when Derwin James comes back, that immediately becomes far and away the best secondary in the NFL.
Well, for one, next year they got to pay Joey Bosa. Casey's already making a bunch of money. Derwin James, you already know you're going to have to pay him. Now, both of those guys being from Florida State, sometimes you think that, oh, well, maybe that would work. Well, maybe that might not work. So I don't know. They haven't been the most contract friendly to their player. Phillip Rivers doesn't have a contract. So to me, that's a lot of money that a team that is not customary to paying a lot of money, I don't think they would have that kind of money tied up in their secondary.
Just 2 more teams quickly. Obviously, yesterday we talked a lot about the Chiefs. For the Chiefs, it's the best player available at the biggest position of need. But I do think the Chiefs would have real cap issues with that. Patrick Mahomes going to become the highest paid player ever a year from now. They paid Tyreek Hill. They paid Frank Clark maybe above market. Sammy Watkins, they can get off him next year if they want to, but he's playing really well this year. Adding the highest paid corner in NFL history, which is what Jalen's going to become, would be tough. Keep an eye on the Colts, though. Colts, I mean, the Colts have enormous cap space, the draft capital. They're obviously going to try to win without being a super explosive offense. The Colts are, if I'm Chris Ballard with Indy, I am calling Jacksonville and trying to take their temperature on that.
But he plays his last game tonight for the Jaguars, most likely?
Absolutely.
That would be my guess, yes.
All right, let's move on.
If not, you're going to need about 8 players to break them up.
Doug Marone.